Good morning, I'm Helen. It's Thursday again, so here we are on Think Differently Thursday, and a really big privilege today to have Bridget McIntyre with me. Good morning, Bridget.
Hello, Helen. It's
You
good
look
to be
very
here.
gorgeous and glamorous today,
I'm not
as
sure.
always.
I'm not sure about that, but hey, it's good to be here.
How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's been an interesting few weeks, that's for sure, or a few months indeed.
It's a very, very strange time. Bridget,
is.
I've got to know you a little bit over the last few years, I guess, but not everyone that's listening in this morning will know you. Do you want to just kind of introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. So I'm Bridget. I'm married to Chris. I've got 2 stepchildren and I've got 5 lovely grandchildren. And I live in Thorndon. And I go to the Forge in Eye.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think lots of people may know you or may know of you because of the shop in Eye, because of Dream On, because of the programs that you run. I speak to a lot of people that have kind of engaged with you in some way or another. Do you want to just explain a little about Dream On, which I think has been going, is it 10 years? Do you celebrate 10 years this year?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's our 10th year. It's our 10th year this year.
Wow.
And we were meant to be celebrating 10 years, but that will be postponed because the 10 years runs till next year, of course, because it's full 12 months of 10 years. So Dream On is a social enterprise, and we have a charity called the Blossom Charity that sits alongside it. And I decided I wanted to do this about 17 years ago, and I wrote a plan to do what I do now. But it took me 7 years really to, I think, let go of my old life to do this. Right. And the aim of Dream On is to help people be the best they can be. So we have a clothes shop, and we sell clothes and we do styling, and we do makeover days, and we do those for people who will pay. But for people who can't pay, or people who are deserving, or people going through cancer treatment, they would get that day for free as a treat for them. And then we do training and we do coaching for companies and individuals, and we charge for that. And then the money we make from that, we use to run programs to help people. And they're quite intense year-long programs to help people make changes to their lives. So one of the things for me is, I've always seen talent in people and people not believing in themselves, and it kind of frustrates me. Right. And I think, why don't you believe in yourself? I can see you're great and you don't think it. So I'm interested in how can you get people to believe in themselves and use their gifts and their talents well in the world, and how can you offer the training to do that? And you know, I was quite lucky in life because I was never told I couldn't. Even though probably on many occasions I should have been told that, I was never told I couldn't. And then when I went into the business world, I was given lots of training and opportunities, and I was able to progress. But so many people don't get those opportunities, and so many people are stopped, or life takes a horrible turn for them and they can't get back on track. So I want to find a way that we can help people like that. It started with women, and we're going to work with men this year, so that's exciting too.
Wow. And it is such a wonderful thing, and it's really quite rare as well, I think, isn't it? I've had the benefit of being on one of your programs, and I literally could see from beginning to end, I could see women that had come with little confidence, not believing in themselves, or perhaps not having direction, not knowing kind of what was happening next for them, or some that had lived through some really quite difficult experiences. And I literally could see over the year, you know, their heads lifting and them becoming empowered and finding themselves and finding direction. It was really wonderful to see. You must be incredibly pleased with what you've done and what you're achieving.
Yeah, it's a team, isn't it? You know, I have the most amazing team working at Dream On, and I think we've been able to attract some great talent. And it is pleasing. And can you remember, Helen, when we have the end of the program and everyone tells their story?
Oh, I think we cried.
It was like tissue moment, but it was so lovely. to hear everybody actually speak their story, and
Yeah.
some of them wouldn't have said boo to a goose at the start, would they?
No, absolutely. Really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah,
And really
yeah.
exciting to hear about where you're going with it as well. So what sort of programs are you going to do for men? Same sort of things?
Yeah, it won't be the same, because obviously we need to do it differently for men,
Yeah.
and but it will be based on the same principles. So the principles are a year long, so we actually get change that sticks, rather than just, you know, a couple of workshops and bye bye.
Yeah.
Really try and get change that sticks, and one-to-one coaching. So there'll be one-to-one coaching as part of it. There'll be some stuff on wellness and looking after yourself and stress management, and there'll even be a little styling session.
Wonderful.
But not in our shop. We won't make them do that at Dream On. We'll actually go to a different venue to do that. But we'll even have that too. So it'll be and the program's full for men. So we kind of we're doing 2 pilots. Well, we'll actually only be able to do 1 this year now, but we're running 2 pilots, and then we'll go from there. So so it's quite exciting. So I'll have a little bit of an input into it, but I'm really letting it be led by men, run by men,
right?
Because I feel that's very, very important. And we've said we don't do mixed programs on purpose, because actually there's a safer environment if it is all men or it is all women. Nobody has to play up to an audience.
I think we operate differently as well, don't we, men and women? I think that would be trickier. Interesting. That will be. I will be fascinated to hear how that goes. So Bridget, that's this last part of life. That's what's been going on over these last 10 years. But if we go, right back, if we go back as far as school, just knowing that you've had lots of success in your life, does that mean that you were very successful at school? Was school where you were a high achiever? What was the school experience for you? Did it shape you? You're shaking your head like no.
So I come from Lancashire. I was brought up in Lancashire, so you'll often hear a little northern twang when I speak. But no, school, I probably look back and think school didn't really suit me, because I learned by chatting and talking things through, and at school I was told, and then I had to comply and learn it, and I like to learn by discussing it and mucking around a bit and finding out about it, and that kind of style wasn't really well embraced in my school. So absolutely not. I kind of just got through. So I got through my O levels at the time. I got through my A levels, but nothing particularly brilliant at all. And then I got to university, but nothing particularly special. So it was kind of, the way I describe it with school, I kind of got my entry ticket.
Right.
But I never excelled. And no one at school would have expected me to achieve anything.
Really?
Honestly, the school did not have high expectations of me. They did. My sister was very clever and very brainy, so I was like, can't you be like your sister? No, I'm me. And my parents were fabulous, because they never told me off. They said, they'd say Bridget needs to curb her energy and enthusiasm. And my mum and dad used to say they don't know, they're born, she's lovely, she's fun, she's lively, and they never stopped my personality, which is really handy, because it could have suppressed me, but it didn't. I didn't get told off for the bad reports. I got smiled at, and I did go back to my old school. Must have been about 12 years ago. I got asked back. So the headmistress wrote to me when I became this PLC director, and I was the first old girl to achieve this. And she wrote to me, and I said, thank you. I didn't fit the academic model of school. I hope you encourage girls like me a bit more. And she said, we think we still have a problem. Will you come and speak at the prize giving? So I thought, well, I can't go there and be rude. Just go to a load of rubbish.
You can't go say, I told you so.
But I decided to speak to all the girls who weren't getting the prizes. So I said, I didn't do well at school. But please work hard, because working hard gets you to the next level. But I did well once I found out what my passion was. And so keep going until you find what you love, because when you find what you love, it feels natural. So that was my message. So I did go back to the school, and I wasn't rude, but I really wasn't. I did read out my school reports that were dire. So.
That's a good lesson for us all, though. That's really important. So you say about finding your passion. Did that happen at uni? Was uni kind of a different experience then, or did you kind of just kind of make it through that as well?
Yeah, uni was a fantastic social experience. I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. And at university, I wouldn't have been expected to achieve anything.
Okay.
And I did get invited back by my old university later. Right. So that was another story, but I got invited back. But at university, no, I got a 2-2. I liked business. I'm really interested in business, and I did a business degree. And I decided that I wanted to be an accountant. That sounds a bit sad, really, but honestly, it's true. Imagine for years I was an accountant in insurance. That's the way to stop a conversation.
No, that sounds really interesting, Bridget.
Yeah. Anyway, but I discovered I like finance because I liked numbers tell a story.
Okay.
And I like the understanding the story of a business and solving the puzzle of a business. And I got on well with people. And in business, if you get on well with people, it's really helpful. Yeah. A lot of accountants struggle. They can be quite, they're fantastic financially on the numbers, but they don't communicate as well because of the style of the way their brain works. Whereas I was actually a chatty accountant. So I suddenly found the thing I loved. And then I did my accounting exams. And the first time in my life, I got all grade A's. I've never had an A in my life, honestly. And I didn't get an A for my O levels. I didn't get an A for my A levels. And then all of a sudden, I'm an A student. It was like bizarre. But it's because I loved it.
Because you'd found the thing that you loved and you were passionate about.
And I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do it.
And that led on to lots of successful roles in the corporate world. So tell us some of the things that you've done, Bridget.
Well, hey.
Go on.
So I was an accountant to begin with, so I went in the corporate world, and I worked for lots of companies. So I worked for like Volvo cars. I worked for a company called Marconi. I worked in book publishing with for Collins, the publishers. I worked for lots of different industries in finance, and then I got approached to go and work for a company called Norwich Union. And I lived in Marlow, just outside Marlow, in Buckinghamshire. And I got approached to go and join Norwich Union, and I said, "Oh, I don't think so. Insurance is a bit boring." And they said, "Go and have a look." And because my husband's from Suffolk, there was a draw to come back to Suffolk. You know, we'd moved down when I was 18. My parents moved to Suffolk. I'd moved away with work, and there was a draw to come back really as well. And I went to see them, and I thought, and they said they wanted change and they wanted new blood in the company. And so I joined, because I thought it might be a really good time to join. And I just got this big break. So I was there, I'd been there 9 months, and my boss at the time said to me, "How far do you think you're away from being my role," which was the finance director? So I said, "Oh, about 3 years." Anyway, 3 weeks later, I was offered it.
Wow.
And it was just a big break. And from then I went, I was finance director of the general insurance business, and then the company, what was called demutualised. So it changed its structure to become a public company. I got heavily involved in that. And then we merged with another company, and we doubled in size. And they kept saying to me, "Move out of finance, Bridget, move out of finance." Oh, I'm an accountant. And because I'd found the thing I was successful in, I kind of held it so tight.
Okay.
You know, I'd never been good at anything, and all of a sudden I'm actually okay. Yeah. And then they asked me if I'd run businesses and things like that. And in the end, I decided I would. Wow. So I did a marketing and underwriting role. I ran an operational area, and then I ran Norwich Union Direct. I ran the corporate partner business, and then I was offered the job of running the whole of the general insurance business, and I was offered the job of being CEO at Rowan & Son Alliance in London at the same time. And I thought, it's time for a change. I'd like to go somewhere different and be the Bridget I am today, not the Bridget of 13 years ago. So that's what I did. And that was my final corporate role. So I was CEO, and it was a FTSE company, and I was one of 16 women on the board of FTSE 100 women.
How many people would you have had working under you at that stage?
About 10,000 people. I know, it's ridiculous,
massive, isn't it? It's massive.
This little idiot who smiles a lot and who's 5'2". It's just
amazing,
like,
absolutely amazing.
It was ridiculous.
I love that story so much. And so one of 16 women at that stage, and so what was that experience? I worked in an insurance company
Did you?
in the late 80s, early 90s, and when I think about that now, being female in an office situation, I think it must be very different now. But how was it for you? How was it particularly becoming more and more successful? How was that as a woman?
Hard at times.
Because you faced resistance?
Well, I mean, I was fortunate. I went behind. There were some women who had to really work hard. They had to smash it to get any progression. So I wasn't the first generation of people who'd made some progress in the companies. So I feel like I was a generation behind, which I think was handy.
So they'd paved the way a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But the thing was, I wanted to remain me, and I didn't want to become like the men.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing about progressing was progressing as Bridget and not changing who I was, because
was there a pressure to conform to something that you weren't?
Yeah, but you just had to learn to express it in a way that was understood. This is why I'm like this. This is how I see things. Yeah. It's actually useful that I see it like that. Don't dismiss me because I say it in a softer way than you. Doesn't mean I haven't got, the toughness that I need to have. But I don't use that language and I don't work that way, and I will get the results. Yeah. So respect the way I'm doing it, not believe yours is the only way of doing it. And I remember, because I have my own style, and I remember being suggested I needed to power dress a bit more. And it's like, get lost. I'm just not power dressing. So
what's that like? Shoulder pads and stuff?
Shoulder pads and high heels. I fall over all high heels. So, so I defended my results. And in a way, results can speak, can't they? The results can speak. But I was so lucky. I had a boss called Albert Mills. And he was the most amazing boss, who would read books to understand how I saw things.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, to try and see a different perspective. Yeah. I wanted me to be me rather than change me. So when other people were giving me this feedback to change, he would really help me.
Right.
And his wife said to him, Bridget's, I was the only woman at this level. So he said, Bridget's going to be noticed because she's the only woman, and that can be useful. But if she makes a mistake, which you're bound to, she'll be noticed and people will come down hard on her. You've got to protect her to make sure that that doesn't happen to her. And, and he told me that she'd said that. And just telling me was helpful.
Yes.
Just telling me that was helpful. Yeah. So, so it was, I learned how to do it. And that's why at Dream On we have coaches, because I got myself a coach. And my coach was where I could really let it all out about how it felt and almost re-energize myself to go back in and stay me. And I can tense my shoulders thinking about sometimes how hard it was to stay me.
Right. Yeah. Did you feel like you were continually were you always having to win people over? Did you feel? Was that a kind of ongoing battle?
It wasn't. It changed over time. It really did change.
Yeah.
And there's so funny stuff. I mean, it's funny as well. So I remember because I changed the board at Royal Sun, became 50-50 men, women. I got the diversity and different types of diversity as well into the board as well. But I remember myself and Julie Hopes, we went to a meeting, and she ran corporate partners and I was CEO. We were meeting two guys from a big bank. And they came into the room, and you could see they looked at them and they think, well, where are they? Where are they? And she was little and blonde like me and smiled. But that's brilliant, because you can so disarm them, can't you?
Yes, because you've got the upper hand with that. It's us.
Sorry. Nice to meet you. So you know, you could be a bit playful with it
Sure.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but you know, so as the mix changed, it got easier.
Yeah.
It did get
It's
easier.
so much the language of our time as well, isn't it? When I think back, you know, 30 years, we didn't talk about understanding each other and how other people thought and felt and the impact of that. But that's very important now, isn't it? We talk about it a lot in relationship, we talk about it in work capacities and all over the place, don't we? That it's so important to know why people are speaking or reacting or thinking the way they are, and the impact that has. It's much more common language now, isn't it?
And I think some organisations used to be, I don't know whether when you worked in insurance it was the same, were quite paternalistic. You know, the powers at the top, and you just deferred to what was, you know, you just adapted to the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see it in the structure within the office, I think.
So that's, you know, that's changed, which has required us to have different skills to work, because you can't use your power or authority. It doesn't win, does it? It's about understanding. I mean, anyway, you get better results anyway, but it is about, you have to learn that. You learn that bit. It's much nicer. Much nicer.
So Bridget, you went from that massive corporate world of business, working in that capacity, and then you stopped all that, and that was the point that you went to Dream On. And so you said that was quite a long process between like thinking about it, planning it for, did you say, for 7 years?
I wasn't planning it. I'd drawn the plan. Wasn't planning. I wouldn't like to be that grand. I've got a piece of paper that has the plan on it.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
I'm not that diligent.
But that was a massive life shift, I guess, at the point that happened.
It'd been coming.
Okay. So how did that feel? Was that kind of a relief, or did that just feel like different direction and this is a new chapter?
It was time. I'd always planned I wouldn't stay in corporate. I'd saved so that I didn't have to as well. You know, I'd made sure I didn't have to. And the last 6 months, I really wasn't enjoying it.
Okay.
Really wasn't enjoying it. I missed home. I lived in London during the week. I missed the green. I missed the countryside.
Right.
It was lonely. It wasn't working for me. And before, I'd always loved it. And when I lost that passion, you can't do the job, because the job is so full on. It's so demanding. You just can't do it. So it was that last 6 months, it was almost like edging towards, I can't do this anymore. So it just felt very, very natural to go to the next phase. The next phase. I'm really pleased I did it, and I'm really pleased I stopped.
Great. You're someone that seems really sorted in life. You seem really mindful of every kind of aspect of your life. Is there a secret to that? Is there something that, you know, you would advise people on? Is this something that's grown over a long time?
But you'd say that about you, Helen. So we kind of there's I'm not saying you're like this, but I do think a lot about what I do. I do think a lot, but I'm not all sorted. And you know, I puzzle through things all the time. But I do try to, if things aren't right, I try not to let them just kind of sit there.
Okay.
I try to work out whether I should be doing something differently. Do I need to make a change? And I've had things like, you know, I was very ill. I had an illness in 1999.
Did you party like it was 1999?
Sadly not. I got misdiagnosed, and I got put on all the wrong medication, which made me a lot iller. And the Bridget who could sort anything suddenly wasn't the Bridget who could do anything. She was very unwell, and I ended up having to not work for 3 months to recover. And it was a time that changed my life a lot.
Right.
That's when I became a Christian, because I suddenly realised I was chasing a life that wasn't really the life I wanted. And I'd looked at lots of different religions. I was always looking at things, Buddhism and all sorts of things. And then I decided that actually it was Christianity that was the one that made sense to me. It's times like that shook me. And made me reevaluate what I'm about. So probably if you'd have seen me in 1999 in January, you'd have seen someone really driven. Really driven. And probably I used to say, I used to find myself a bit sad because I'd only get enthusiastic when I talked about work. And that's all I could get excited. You know, I mean, it's not that I was a boring person, but it was, I turned on with work. I turn on with a lot more things now. You know, I'm much more engaged in many more things. I have a much more diverse life. So it's like, I think that was a massive transition time for me to make a lot of changes. And it makes me now really work it out.
That's interesting, really interesting. And you said that you became a Christian in 99, and so what part, or how does faith play out in your life now?
It's a huge reason why Dream On exists. I don't believe Dream On would exist without it. Some people say to me it would. I don't think it would. Because it's a purpose for me. Purpose. I read a book by Bill Hybels called Holy Discontent. And it was a book about what is it that you really gets to you, that you'd like to see action on. And for me, it's seeing talent not being used. And seeing people not believing in themselves. That's something that really gets to me. And so it drives the purpose of why Dream On exists. And it drives the purpose and the way I do business, the way we run the team, the way we work together. I really try and live the Christian values in my business, and I challenge myself quite hard. But it's an important bedrock for me, and it's my grounding. And it's my arm around me. And it's my support. I am fiercely independent, and I constantly work on my fierce independence to be more God reliant. Because I still have I've learned to have that steel within me, and I don't want to have that. I want to use it. I want to be more God reliant. So I wouldn't be doing what I was doing now if it wasn't for faith. And you know, I'm an non-exec director of other companies, and that plays through. And I won't work with companies where I feel a clash of value now. Values. So it plays quite strongly. Brilliant.
Fantastic. And I know you're such an important part of all that we do at the Forge as well. Bridget, you are so stylish. So stylish. I actually felt like I had to touch up my nail varnish before I could speak to you.
Your nails, very nice. I noticed your nails, and mine aren't painted, and that's a bit sad.
So well, I feel like I match you, actually. I match your lampshades and your top. I think it's really important to you, isn't it? And I remember from the programme that I did that actually, I mean, we're laughing about it, but it's so key, I think, you know, what we look like affects how we feel and how we present ourselves. In a nutshell, you know, what is the key to looking good and feeling good? What would you say? Because you always look so good.
I don't think I do. My mum used to say, when she was alive, she'd say, I wonder what fancy dress Bridget is turning up in today. She sees my clothes as fancy dress. So I think it's about knowing who you are and how you want, type of person you are. And I believe I have a quirky style. So I like quirkiness. I like clashing. I like playing around with it. So it's about what kind of impression are you wanting to create, and how can you do that visually? And so it makes me smile. It gives me confidence. You know, if I'm doing a big event, I will think about what I'm wearing, because I'll feel a lot better by doing that. And you know, and it and you can be cheeky with style too. So you know, when I worked in corporate, I could wear a suit, but I could have things in it that had personality.
Yes. Yeah.
If that makes sense. So you could
Yeah.
express who you are. So,
Yeah.
but there is no, you don't suddenly, oh, I can do style dead easy. You just practice and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've in the past I've been mistaken for thinking it's 100% about what you look like. I think it's, for me now, and I think you get more confident with age as well. I think for me it's more about what it's making me feel. So sometimes I can look at clothes on a hanger and really like them, but then I put them on and I realise actually they're not actually making me feel very good. They don't perhaps suit me in a way that I thought it would on the hanger. And it's more about like finding the ththings that make me feel completely myself, is what makes me feel good now, I think.
Yeah, but the thing as well about style, Helen, I don't know if you've noticed, but there are some people who are really beautiful, but don't look great because they don't carry a smile, and their energy and their positivity, or or they have a negative, dour look or feel to them. So sometimes the people who look the fabbest are the people who are feeling comfortable, smiling, engaging. I often, I'll sometimes, when I'm doing something and I might feel okay but not brilliant, I'll go, right, smile.
Yes,
and then I think, oh, I look all right now.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's like, stand up, smile, bump you there.
Yeah.
So there is something like that. We'll have people at Dream On, they'll come out of the change room saying, oh, I don't feel very good in that, and they've made themselves look small. And we'll go, stand up. And they'll look, oh, that looks a bit better. So it's about that whole internal confidence, as you say.
And people reciprocate it often, don't they? I think if you're warm and if you're smiley, it kind of gets reflected back at you as well.
Does.
And it's like,
So it's kind of and we have this tip on styling as well. So we Dream On, we do this thing about colour and what colours work for you. And of course you can play with that. So you can make colours that make you look really well and that you really suit, but you can wear colours that make you look tired. So if you at work, if I wanted somebody to feel sorry for me that I was overworking, you'd put on colours that made you look a bit exhausted and made you look a bit worn out, and everyone go, oh, you're all right, you've been working really hard, haven't you? Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Sounds a little bit manipulative, Bridget. It's great. And there's so much here, and you've got such a brilliant, colourful story and so much success. And on top of all of that, Bridget, you are now the High Sheriff of Suffolk. Is this not true? You're going to have to explain, first of all, for everyone that doesn't know, what does that mean? What is the High Sheriff of Suffolk?
High Sheriff of Suffolk. It's a great honour. I'll just say it is a great honour. I didn't know when I was asked, because you ask 4 years before you become High Sheriff, so there's a very long waiting.
Okay.
You're in waiting. You're in a list. To become High Sheriff. The role kind of goes back to the 1100s.
Okay.
And in the old days, it was like the Sheriff of Nottingham. You collected taxes and all sorts of things. And at one stage, the High Sheriff used to have to make sure if there'd been somebody had been hanged, that they were dead. So you'd have to make sure executions were done properly. Can you imagine that? I wouldn't have taken that job for sure.
No.
Anyway, so nowadays the role, it's appointed by the Queen, and you support justice in the county. So you support the judicial system in the county. It's an apolitical role, so you have no allegiance, which is from the Queen, just really nice. But really the role now is much more about supporting the community as well, and supporting the volunteers. So it's a chance to look across Suffolk in a way I'd never have had a chance to do. Because I can access Suffolk now, because I'm High Sheriff. I can say, can I speak to you? Can I meet with you? Can I go over there? Yes. Oh, come in. So it opens all the doors, so that you can really get to understand Suffolk and the needs of Suffolk and how it works, and how you in your role can be helpful into that.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I see it, and how I...
That sounds like something that would completely suit you as well, like where your heart is.
Yeah, it is, and it is, and it's been, you know, traditionally, you know, it has been the great and the good doing this role. So I'm quite unusual in doing it. But I was told that I could do it my way.
Brilliant.
So I spent some time, you know, with the Lord Lieutenant of Suffolk, who's a lovely lady, and so she's talked to her a lot about it, and you know, about how to approach it.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm high sheriff for a year only.
It's amazing.
And Steve Fenning is my chaplain.
Is he? Could there be a better partnership? Sounds amazing.
So so we do things like, we'll do a justice service, and we're trying to design a church service in which will be in Bury St Edmunds for a lot of people, but we're trying to do it in a way that's going to be different next year.
Wow.
That people leave with a smile, and they've really enjoyed it.
Wow. So, do they know what they're in for then? Because I would imagine you will be doing that quite differently.
Yeah. Well, I hope we'll do it in a way that really works.
Fantastic.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well done. And presumably as well, I know that's a really new appointment, and so presumably lockdown has made that trickier than it would have been.
Oh, totally. It's like, well, the sad thing is the uniform, right? So you have to, there's a uniform for high sheriff, which could be a little bit, for the men it's a bit unusual, but for the women you have a bit of freedom. So and they often go to London and have it made in these places, but I didn't. I got a lady in Eye to make mine, and it's really lovely. Gorgeous velvet coat with buttons, military buttons, and a little bowler hat. I can't wear it, can I? I can't sit here and wear it, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, the uniform is sitting upstairs and will be worn if it can ever be worn. But I'm having to do it completely differently. So I would have been going out and about a lot. So instead, it's about Zoom calls, lots of Zoom calls. So you know, I talk to the resident judge, Martin Levitt, every 3 weeks, and we go through what's going on in the judicial system, how lockdown's affecting the courts, and what the plans are. And I'll be going into court as soon as they open in July, which will be fascinating. And then I'm talking to lots of charities as well, understanding how they're coping. And I think my background of both business coaching and social enterprise and charity is helpful, because I can talk their world with them. So it feels like, you know, and sometimes at the top, when they're running, you're running a big organization, it's really, really lonely. So I kind of think, well, I know what I would have liked: somebody to listen. Somebody to listen, maybe ask good questions, offer support. And then we've been writing hundreds and hundreds of personal letters to schools, charities, GP surgeries, care homes, just thanking everyone for how they're managing through lockdown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the extraordinary things they're doing. So I'm learning a lot. And it gives me a focus. So I'm kind of having, like, in the job, everyone says to you, you choose areas you want to focus on, because you can't focus on everything. And I've chosen mine, but obviously I need to change them because circumstances have changed. So I need to be aware of what is needed now. It's not about my agenda, it's what Suffolk needs that matters. So the Steve's talk on diversity really challenged me. You know, on racial equality, racism really challenged me when he talked. I thought it was so interesting. And I've always said I'm not racist and I can see people as equal, but do I take a proactive stance there? Probably not. Probably not. Actually, probably not. I don't. So it's really challenged me. So I'm really getting to grips with that. I'm doing quite a lot of stuff. So talking to lots of different organisations, trying to understand what we can do, and trying to see where my role could play there. So really interesting stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And a great opportunity, I feel. And then sadly, domestic violence is on the rise in the county. Lockdowns had an impact on domestic violence. And but it's not being reported. The police numbers aren't up. And there's a lot of theories about why the police numbers aren't up. It will come out. It's starting to come out. So it's about, are there enough resources in the county to support the people impacted, women and men and children, by this? Because it is, you know, there's one organisation where 40% of the people they work with are men, not women.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So there is a lot of male domestic violence too, which is like, you sometimes don't think that as a woman. I don't think that. So we're looking at that, and is there enough resource? I'm working with a couple of people across the county looking at the resourcing. And then the final bit I'm really focusing on is, I'm a business person, I kind of like business and understand a bit about how it works. So charities need to survive through this. So what's the model that they can survive on? So I'm talking to charities about their model, but then also the economic recovery of the county and how we can work to make sure we've got a good plan for Suffolk to get through this, because we do need economic recovery to enable people to be employed and for everyone to be okay. So there have been job losses, and we've got to work on what we can do to keep things in Suffolk. And I do think Suffolk can support Suffolk. We need to support each other. We need to pull together as a community. And I'm looking at how I can play into that.
Sounds like, I mean, who would have known that this was going to be your experience in this role? But it sounds like, because of what you can bring to that, you are going to be such an asset to it. I wish you lots of success with that. I'm sure it's going to be brilliant.
I'll try. Brilliant. As I always say, I'll try my hardest. I will try my hardest to be of use. I never feel that confident about myself, so I always feel, we'll see if I can do something. I'll just see. I think you will be the perfect person in that role. I will try. I'll try, and I'll give it my best shot for this period. And it suits. And it is. I didn't know whether this job would suit me, but it's kind of working quite nicely, I feel.
Sounds brilliant. I kind of just to wrap up, I'm kind of asking a lot of people about what life looks like post-corona, whatever the new normal is. And I think for lots of us and lots of businesses, and certainly for church and even in families, I think I just wonder whether we ever go back to what normal was before. I think probably none of us will. What would you say are perhaps things that you've learned personally, or maybe in business as well, that you will take forward as a result of what we're living through right now?
So personally, it's had more family time, but it hasn't been hands-on family time, which I miss. I miss the grandchildren, just being with them. But there's been more family time with my brother and sister, for a start. So my sister lives in America, my brother lives in Manchester. And we've been able to connect all the families together, which has been really, really nice. And it's been really good to connect and have good conversations. So I think we'll continue that, because we found a way to do it. Zoom's been fantastic.
And this has been long enough as well, hasn't it, that I think new habits have been formed. I've done very similar with my brothers and their families, and we often could go months and not speak. But so to have established new habits, I think you're right. They can then continue, can't they?
I think we can. I think so. I think I'll work more from home.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think all my board meetings. So the boards I'm on, I have to travel to go. No, they're not far now, because I've done all my roles were in East Anglia. But before I go to London, but I'm doing them all by Zoom, and I think we'll do more by Zoom. And I actually enjoying the fact that, before I'd lose half a day. Now I lose 2 hours. It's quite a difference.
Definitely.
I still think we'll do connection, but I think we'll do more. We'll be able to do both. And I quite like the idea we'll be able to go, well, that one we'll meet, that one we'll just do a Zoom call.
Because it's going to be a balance, isn't it? I think that. I think things that I've given an evening to, for actually the meeting part is often an hour. By the time you've travelled and had coffee and then started and then finished and had another coffee and got home, it's the whole evening. So it can be an hour. But it's going to be the balance, isn't it, of doing things more efficiently, but still having that kind of community feel and connecting.
We need to connect. And it's funny. It's like the first time James came over for Father's Day, and we sat in the garden, and it was lovely. And I just thought, oh, just so nice. You're here. You're physically here. We need physically here as well as just talking to you by Zoom, but many more conversations had, and so that's been really nice. I've been able to do some art through lockdown. I love art. I kind of I wouldn't say I'm good at art. I used to do art with Win Henning all the time on Wednesdays, and I miss him for many reasons, but I've got my art back.
Great.
Because, and so we're doing a very, very small Trail of Hope in Eye for the Blossom charity. So we were going to do a Hare and the Tortoise Trail in Eye following the sheep trail last year with all the sculptures. We were going to do a big trail. We decided not to, but we decided to do 6 sculptures, Trail of Hope. So the positive things that have come out of lockdown,
right?
Like gardens and community, exercise, all the different things that have come out. And I'm doing one of those. So I've been spending time painting my tortoise, which is huge. So I really want to hold on to my art. I mean, I have been doing it, but I'd let it slip.
Yeah.
I know I need it. I've been paying more attention to my health. And I've done loads of decluttering, and I don't want to end up building it all again. It's been really nice to clear it all out. And then we will do business differently. I think Dream On will change a bit. We will embrace the online world. As I said, I've always talked about doing it and never done it. So I'll have a go. So I think that's something that I'll do differently. And that's going to be so interesting where we go with the Forge. But I'm really, really enjoying the weekday stuff. I can never listen to it at the time. I always have to listen to it at a different time. But isn't that great? You can watch it, listen to it at a different time. And you feel like you're still fully engaged with it.
I think it's made church happen all week long. We all feel part of church, and as you say, can just tap into different bits at different times. It's wonderful.
Absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to do that. I've listened to loads of podcasts since I've been on lockdown. And I love podcasts, so I've been researching them, and I will continue with that.
Brilliant. Sounds brilliant. Bridget, I hope that people tell you often enough just how inspirational you are, and just how much you have really fed into other people's lives. I think you're a really significant person. I've learned so much from you, and I think you are to be celebrated. I hope you hear that, and I hope that you know that as well. And I'm so grateful that you've given us your time this morning, because it's really impactful to hear about your journey and to hear how you've navigated life. And I've really appreciated your honesty as well, and excited about lots of stuff that you've talked about. So thank you so
Helen.
much. Really enjoyed chatting to you.
I've enjoyed chatting with you, and you're fantastic. You do a great job. So it's been great to see you, and I learn from you all the time. So that's really good too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Bridget. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.